Andrés is the Chief Creative Officer at Energy BBDO, where he oversees the agency's U.S. and global clients. With over 15 years of experience in integrated marketing, he started his career at Ruiz Nicoli in Spain before making his way to BBDO Puerto Rico, where when he came to the United States, he held creative leadership roles for two multicultural agencies, Zuby and the Brave Group. He has worked with brands including Orbit, Jeep, Campbell's, Olive Garden, Famous Footwear, and American Airlines. So please help me welcome Andrés.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know if I need this. I'll try to speak. It's still early, but every now and then it goes. But also two microphones come up here. So, go Cubs. So let me just start by saying thank you so much for having us here. This is pretty early for our creative. Whenever you start getting to work with agencies, don't put an 8:30 a.m. with a creative. Unless it's a chief creative, then we're always available. But what we wanted to do today is preview some of our latest work, not only from our office, but from the network. Like we said a little bit, we're also in charge of many global accounts. But I think one of the best things that I can do today, when I was looking at all of you, it was understanding what can I give back in order to understand how to give great work. The reality is that we've done a lot of studies and understand when great creativity drives sales. Both are ties. It's not about only winning campaigns, but it's also about winning ethics. And I think that if we once you start more getting involved in advertising or marketing, the more that you can become true partnerships, the more that we get to great work. So I want to just give you a couple of examples. How do we get there? And the things that we look when we work close to our clients to get to those type of ideas. If you have any questions, please stop me. And also, if I don't know if I say a word in Spanish, excuse me. Also, there is this. Well, I feel like I got on an Uber. Give me a 5-star. So we stand by the work, and we understand that the essence of if nothing else matters for us, it's all about that. So I want to start. Just last June we were at Cannes, and they picked 6 or 7 of us chief creative officers globally to understand what's the process to get to an idea. There is no really a process. I feel that we all have our own unique way. Ideas come to us in a weird way. Some people have rituals, some others do different things. For me, especially, it happens while I'm sleeping. So, and I don't get paid during those hours, but it happens at that time. So they created this video to just tell that story. That's simple how you get an idea, so it's pretty easy, right? It's like a minute thing. But to get to that point, then it's kind of weird to see yourself on the screen. It's like when you talk on a booth and then you hear yourself, you're like, oh, it's kind of like that how it feels. But reality is that in order for us to get to that type of work, we need to be very clear where we're going to. I don't know if you've seen this on your social platforms, but you can pretty much direct where the train is going right now. You can decide if it's going right or left. And I think sometimes we get to be briefed by a client and we don't even know where the train is going. So the more that we can understand where the train is going, the easier that we make our lives. The easier that we can start thinking about how to look for that solution. Pretty much what you're being presented is, there's a problem, how do we find that great solution, a creative solution to that? So understanding which way the train is going is very important for us. There's a couple of things that I try to work with the team as always, and are a couple of thoughts. The first one is, we try to make sure that the brand has a role and it's not just a sponsor. Sometimes we see advertising or communications that when you look at the work, you can always say like, well, that could have been done by another brand. It could have been done by someone. That's when you're a sponsor, pretty much. Pretty much you see this great story or this great communication, and then there's the sign off, and you're like, oh, okay. But you remember the story, and at the end of the day, they ask you, who was it for? And you're like, well, I don't know, but it was a great story about a kid. It was a great story about a couple. But when your brand has a role, then you remember the brand because you get closer to the brand. And I think that's our role in life. I think you need to push yourselves and ourselves to make sure that we can understand that what's the meaning of the brand, what is where the train is going, and no matter if we do film, we do social media, wherever we are, we're not just sponsoring. You know, for that, we have events. For the rest, we need to make sure that people understand what is our true north. And that's what we did we did this this film a year and a half ago, and 120 million views after like 8 weeks. We knew we had something special, that people remember the brand. I'll show you a little bit of information of what happened after, but we gave meaning to the brand and people got very close to our brands.
Wise men say only fools rush in. I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, shall I stay? Would it be a sin? Oh, if I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Won't take my hand, take my whole life too. For I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, for I can't help falling in love.
Give extra, get extra.
Obviously, there's a clear role of extra and Kleenex. But actually, if you think about it, it was like, the whole thought, it was like a piece of gum, it's a connector. But when you think about gum normally, it's like, oh, gum, fun, whatever, and you end up doing this ad that is very fun, but then you sign up with extra, or whatever gum wrap. In this one, it was about how meaningful a piece of gum could be and you start getting this content. So we created this film, and it did pretty good. But also, you understand when you don't get to work on something, there's a lot of brands out there that they go out and they do this great film, and that's it. But you need to understand that it's not about just that, but if you have a role and you want to inject meaning, you have to amplify your message. You gotta figure out how you can connect with people. We knew we had already everyone with extra like crying, sharing. It was like, I can't believe I'm crying over gum. They say like, I love you, but I hate you. People were just buying gum like crazy, thinking that they were gonna find this guy. People asked me if I propose to my wife like that. I say no, and don't ask her because it wasn't that good yet. But I need to re-propose at some point because I had to step it up from that. But the reality is that you don't get into things just to, like I said, you don't get into something to test the waters. You go into things to make waves, and I think that's what great brands do. When you make wave, you just attract people. Think about a wave when it hits and it brings you back. It's kind of like that. If your message goes out in that amplification, just like it kind of hugs you and brings you closer to the brand, and you start loving the brand like never before. Like, who thought you were gonna be in love with a piece of gum? So this is a little bit of information. This is our case study of everything that went around the film.
To be all about long-lasting flavors, but struggled to build a long-lasting relationship with consumers. We found a solution in the smallest, most disposable part of our product, the wrapper, turning it into a new medium that allowed the brand to connect with consumers and people to connect with each other. The campaign was a massive success, generating more than 1.3 billion impressions. This is how we did it. It started online with a love story that gave new meaning to our wrappers. The story of Sarah and Juan showed that even the most meaningful connections in life can come from something as small as sharing a piece of gum. The film got the world talking and crying. In 48 hours, it had gone viral, receiving more than 40 million views. It was shared across social media, became a trending topic, and gained tons of earned media coverage.
Get ready to cry over gum. That's what's happening in a commercial that's...
And just like that, a new behavior was born. We actively engaged consumers on social media, turning their meaningful moments into unique pieces of art displayed in an interactive gallery at giveextra.getextra.com. Now that we had a new media, we embedded our wrappers into culture, driving response to timely moments of connections as they trended on social media. Then on Valentine's Day, we used our wrappers to help a real couple get engaged and documented their amazing journey in a branded content piece. 1.3 billion impressions later, the world had fallen in love with Extra Gum. The story of Sarah and Juan received more than 110 million views. It was shared 1.4 million times, made headlines in major media outlets around the world, got spoofed a few times, and was named one of the top 5 iconic ads of the year. Our rendition of the classic love song Can't Help Falling in Love climbed the charts and was featured in a primetime performance on American Idol. After the campaign launched, Extra was the top-selling gum brand for 25 weeks in a row. But most importantly, the brand began a long-lasting relationship with consumers by giving them a new way to connect with each other.
Let's give you a little bit of an idea of what was that first stage. We're actually working right now on that. This is actually second stage. We're working on the new campaign. Obviously, it's a pretty high bar right now for us, but we're trying to figure out what is next in the agency. But also, we had a meeting with our clients and we were talking about, you need to, when you leave your brand and understand your brand, things like this can happen. And I mean it when I say give extra, get extra, and we leave that thought just from a partnership, this kind of work comes to life. Because we knew how much we were giving to the client and they were giving us back, that they would like, we just landed on this type of work. But also we understood that you need to get away a little bit from the category. There is this big tendency of just do more of the same, because we've seen, it's easier to always say like, well, this is working for X brand, let's just stay around that because we've seen results. So I put this example because try something different. Have someone try cookies with something else, that another liquid that is not milk. It's a thing, I don't know why, I haven't. But I'll try with advertising, but not with my cookies and milk. But the reality is that it's like we need to start trying to do things differently in order to disrupt. We live in a world with so much communication, so many channels, that it's really hard to disrupt and just put yourself beyond the category. How do we do this? We just showed you on GUM. I'm going to show you some work from our office in London. And I won't give out the category, but at the end, it'll make you think different. And it'll make you talk about it. It'll make you, have you seen this? And I think I always ask the team, would I share it? And I think that when you have a piece of communication, ask yourself, take your marketing hat a little bit off and say, would I share this? And that's what has been happening to some of these work. Another example of how to break from category. I keep it simple, and I use this a lot actually. I've been using this for quite a while. But it is the reality, like, we always try to find the way to create things like, oh, it's just, oh, I don't have $1 million to do this. Or how can I be on mobile and get a great film and do this? You gotta think about first what's the idea. A great idea can take care of the rest. We will never be able to buy 120 million views on first Saran 1, but we got on the first 48 hours 40 million just by putting it out in the world. So that tells you that. So first comes the idea. This is some work that it's not ours, but I really like it. It comes from Sweden, and it was a way to promote Sweden. And they just found a way that we have completely forgot about it, and as simple as just a telephone. And this is what they did. Also, I have to show him before next week.
I visit to Stockholm. And to Americans who cannot visit themselves, don't worry. I understand that Sweden has a phone number where you can call a Swede and learn about all things Swedish.
You will soon be connected to a random Swede somewhere in Sweden.
This is Sweden.
One thing I wanted to ask you was about the darkness.
Well, involves heavy drinking.
Yeah, you don't know it's dead.
How's King Carl and Queen Sylvia doing?
They're doing fine, I think.
Sweden is celebrating 250 years of free speech with a unique twist.
记好了，现在拿手机啊，就是46。
Sweden has just become the first country in the world to have its own phone number.
What's the weirdest question you've been asked so far?
Since we have polar bears.
Is there an IKEA on every corner?
No, although we have quite a lot of IKEA.
Is this representative of Sweden?
I am not. I hate Sweden.
Connect on Facebook.
What do you hope it achieves?
Let people not know Sweden is a good place to stay.
Hello, this is Sweden. I'm the Swedish Prime Minister, Stefan Löfven.
How do I know you're really the Swedish Prime Minister?
Well, I believe you have to trust me.
what they call it.
An umbrella.
So simple as just a phone call, right? Demos. We talked about demos, and demos are great. People are a little bit scared, at least on our side, when it comes to how to create a demo. But I think there is the functional demo. Like here's the new Logitech. They flat, the typical that they float around. Or you can present technology in a very different way, in a way that you do this beautiful storytelling, but at the same time you're educating the people of what you're capable of. And I think that sometimes we just gotta think like, how can I do this different? How do I can connect to you? How can I go back to inject brand meaning? Because when you play the functional side of things as a brand, you're always competing against each other. When you have an emotional connection, you just rise above the rest. Because at the same time, you know how technology is. One day it's Apple, this week is being Microsoft with her. So here's one spot that I use a lot actually as a reference for me, this is a great way to do a demo. Thanksgiving is coming and they're going to be like, and then when you have that twist, you're like, I love you, man. It's like, okay, that's like, isn't it like every day in our lives? But it's a great way to show like the power of that. After that, it came that shot with an iPhone 6, all the billboards and everything that we've seen, and they then brilliantly add the human connection onto what they can do with this type of technology. And I think it talks differently about them, but it also educates you of what they're capable with. We're here for a reason. I ask myself this every day, but I always tell that we have a role in life. I think every brand, people can understand when you just selling, and sometimes it creates a barrier. It can be very cold as a brand, but I believe that there are moments in life where we can impact, where we can touch people, we can help, we can be part of society, and that gets us closer. The reason shouldn't be to get us just closer so we can become more brand loyal, but I think there are moments where we can think beyond the usual and do things that can impact the world. I always try to do this with our brands. I try to create a little bit beyond just regular meaning for the brand, but also like, if I stand for give extra, get extra, what is it that I'm gonna do? Am I gonna, next week is Veterans Day, what am I gonna give back to them after all everything that they have given us back? So if you think about it, it's a little bit of putting our philosophy out into the world and helping others. And this is something that they did in Colombia. I have to show something from Colombia. That's where I was born and raised. But actually it's a work that's been recognized everywhere. And it's great, it's working really well in that country.
Every day, thousands of children in remote poor jungle communities in Colombia use rivers to go to school. For them, these are the only paths to attend their classes. But rivers are unpredictable, and flash floods happen without warning. Cookie, a famous children's fruit snack that is always present in their school lunch boxes, wanted to help. So we created a new type of backpack capable of keeping children safe when the unexpected happens. The Lifesaver Backpack. Inspired and designed with the same technology used in life vests. 4 different designs equipped with reflective and lightweight materials that resist strong river currents, colors that contrast against the dark water of the rivers, a waterproof whistle, and CPR instructions to stitch into his back. The Lifesaver Backpack was tested to keep afloat children from ages 5 to 12 years old in their supplies. It is also capable of turning them around if they fall unconscious, allowing him or her to breathe freely. In partnership with the Colombian Red Cross, we have reached children in 4 different jungle communities. In this way, the Lifesaver Backpack became the perfect medium where no media existed, reaching remote jungle communities in a direct way by teaching and promoting talks about water safety, especially to children that use rivers to get to school. And in order to reach out with more Lifesaver Backpacks, Luki has an ongoing promotion. For every product purchased, Luki donates part of the cost for the creation of more Lifesaver Backpacks, making sure more children will continue to go to school without having to worry about anything else than their own future. The Lifesaver Backpack. Go to school safely.
So obviously, if you think about it, the reason why they sell Luki is for school, right? Like, okay, we're about school, we're about kids, how can we help them? How do we get them to go safely to school? So it's a great initiative and it's running right now. The reason why you get into advertising, no, I'm kidding. But since I have looked at you in millions of ways and I have loved you in each. This one is more like, I try to always change the next film. It's always what is happening out there or someone has done. I say I wish I would have done it. This type of work. This one is based on technology. I think that we, VR and 360 and everything that we see that is happening, it's kind of becoming repetitive. It's all about the experience of jumping off, like you can know that you're jumping from a plane or you're going on a super fast boat or whatever it is. And I think, what if we could give a twist? I think that it's very easy to use technology, that the way they have educated us to use it, but we should always push ourselves to think, what else can I do with it? And I think they did something brilliant with it here while impacting people's life, and I strongly believe that's where we're heading to when it comes to education.
Technology that didn't exist.
You could see like what we were going by on the streets, and then you could feel it, so it felt like, oh, we're going past that. Oh, now I feel that we're going past that. It felt real.
We had to invent a way for transparent windows to become high-def displays. Currently, with the VR headsets, it does isolate you, whereas this, particularly with the children, they were able to point things out to each other to really enjoy the experience communally.
possibilities of what we can do. I always tell my team, get stuff, play with technology, get used to it because it's going so fast. This week we saw on Tesla that solar tiles and everything. So it's just start getting a little bit closer to technology or very close to technology and start playing with it because opportunities are crazy. And we're going that way, we're not going the other way. So what can we do, what is available, and how we can just spin it around and give it another meaning, make it bigger. Something that I say a lot, and I heard actually it's one of my desktop wallpapers is this. Always trust your gut. He knows what your head hasn't figured it out. And it is true. It's kind of like, I try to find a visual where the sparkle was kind of like here, but I couldn't move it. But the reality is that it's that sparkle. I think that when we see work, we have a tendency of overanalyzing, and we walk into meetings to look at work without like a check. Like, does it work? Is my brand on the second 5? Check. Is my brand this? Check, 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 check. The last that I checked, nobody does that when they're watching TV or watching their phones. They don't go like, oh, the brand is there. Oh, we're in the world of creating content and getting closer to people. I always advise my clients as like, for a second, just remove yourself from the brand and think about that you're in your sofa or you're just watching your phone or your iPad and you're just consuming content. How does it feel? If it means something, if it creates sparkle, you have a great piece of work. Because people do not consume on a functional way unless they're ready to buy. They're looking for something about buying the next phone. They're not gonna go and look for the iPhone. We won't serve them the spot that I showed you on holidays. We will serve them just content related to phones. So you just gotta figure out when and how to serve content. Because if you're not creating this inside your consumers, you won't ever show up. They just disappear completely. The brands that are doing this are creating sparkle. When we think about the last campaign from Coke, it was happiness. Everyone felt that happiness somehow when we interacted with them. When Give Extra, Get Extra, people are just asking us now like, what is next? And they're using the wrappers to send messages between each other. It was not about drop wrappers, but they're interacting with the brand and they're having that spark and they're sharing their own stories. So make sure that you consume content like that, or when you see work, try to see it not, obviously as marketers, you'll have a lot to give in, but I think that the first part is where you have to give on. That brief, that going into the insights, that understanding of the consumer, that's where you have to put all of you in. Then put yourself in the consumer shoes and then start receiving the information to see, well, how does it feel? And if it sparkles, you have something beautiful in your hands. Thank you. Any questions?